There's a bit of a drizzle as well, which doesn't help with the sail nylon sag. Don't know how well you can see, but I can pull it quite far back. Apart from the sagging, the 3-yard Lochan has held up quite well despite the high gusts throughout last night. It was quite windy last night, and you could see from the video how much the tent was shaking from inside and from the outside. And despite all of that, I slept quite well. It was a bit drafty when the wind did flap underneath the door opening, but the quilt is pretty windproof, and I just kind of tucked myself in that, and I didn't wake up until around dawn. Today's plan is that we're gonna head around the loch and descend towards Thundergay. We're gonna resupply down at Pirnmill and then look for a camp spot just outside Blackwaterfoot. We stopped at the Pirnmill post office and village store and bought 1 day worth of food because there are more shops in Blackwaterfoot where we will be tomorrow. I just bought some instant pasta and noodles for dinner, and then I bought some snacks which I've already eaten. And Liam, what did you buy?
Some chocolate.
About 5 miles in today, and we have deviated away from the road down to the coast on the beach. And as you can see, it's absolutely beautiful here. The sun's out and most of the wind is being shielded by the cliffs around us. So we've taken our fleeces off and it's feeling good. It's been a nice walk so far. King's Cave. It's 7:30 and we have pitched up on the coastline. A bit of a change from the previous plans, which was to camp up over there by the King's Cave forest. Reason being, we basically talked to this lady who told us that there's a nice little bit of flat ground around here, and we managed to find a little water source up here down up a little forest path as well. We walked for around about 17 miles in total. Most of it was on the road, but you know, towards this late afternoon it did get a lot better. The view of the Corbettes was amazing. Had a little bit of exploration around the caves, and now this view of Doon Fort and the coastline is pretty neat as well. So yeah, the day definitely got better because early on today the road walking was a bit tiring and not very interesting. It's quite cold last night. Definitely felt like below freezing, and when we woke up this morning there was frost on the tent, on Liam's tent, as well as frost on the ground. Because of that, there was a bit of condensation on my fly sheet, which wasn't great, and packing away the tent took maybe 10-15 minutes because how cold my fingers got. Other than that, the weather was fine, there was no wind or anything, and slept pretty well in my quilt, although at dawn I did wake up feeling a little bit cold in the feet, even though I was wearing sleeping socks as well as leggings. We'll be aiming to catch the last ferry from Brodick on Friday, which is about 2.5 days away. So we will be picking up 2.5 days worth of food from Blackwaterfoot. After we pick up the food from Blackwaterfoot, we will then be continuing along the Arran Coastal Way over to Lagg and Kilmory to find somewhere to camp. Just in Blackwaterfoot, we bought food at the post office and the licensed grocer, and then we bought some breakfast with the sister takeaway on a roll. It's really cheap, and looking forward to getting tucked into our breakfast. The Arran Coastal Way has taken us back onto the beach. Even though we've only walked for around 11 miles today, most of it has been along this along the beach, either pebbly or sandy. And it's surprisingly energy sapping, because with every step you're pushing back against the pebbles or the sand. Looking forward to setting up camp tonight. Gonna try and do it early before sunset today, because our tents are still damp from the previous night with the condensation. So it'll be quite nice to get everything aired and dried in the sunshine before the sun sets. It's 5:45 and we have set up camp. There's a stream just over there, and Bennan Head is just under a mile over that way in the distance. So the idea is that we can wake up early tomorrow, and whilst the tide is low, we can cross over it before high tide hits us. The tents are just drying in the background now. We've got an hour or so of sunlight left today, and there's a little bit of sea breeze as well that hopefully will help with the drying of the tents from the condensation last night. In fact, my tent has been pitched for about 5 minutes or so, and a lot of the condensation has already dried off. Whilst we're waiting for the tents to dry, we're gonna go over there to get some water, cook, relax, and get ready for tomorrow. It's 8:40 AM on Thursday, and we've actually left a little bit later than we thought we would, because checked the tide times yesterday, and the low tide is actually at 10:30 AM, not at 8 AM like we thought it would be at. So yeah, leaving a little bit later to cross over the low tidal section at Bennan Head, which is about a mile away behind me. Hoping that we'll get to Bennan Head just after 9 o'clock, and the tide by then should be low enough for us to cross, but if not, we will just wait around for a bit until the tide goes all the way out. We're just at the Giant's Graves right now, and there was a sign a couple hundred meters back that says we have to go down to Whiting Bay instead of carry on the alternative route because of some tree felling that's going on until August. So it's a little bit of a detour, but honestly not feeling too sad about it. We've just finished the second last day on the Arran Coastal Way. We're pitched about 2 miles outside Lamlash, which means we're 7 miles away from Brodick, which is where we're going to finish tomorrow. Hasn't been the most interesting of days. We've been mostly walking along the fire road, which isn't great. Did get to see the waterfall this afternoon, as well as the Black Cave this morning. That was quite cool. But yeah, hasn't been the most amazing of days, but looking forward to getting back on the coast tomorrow. Last day of the Arran Coastal Way. It's Friday at 7:40. Quite an early start for us because we're not exactly camped at the wildest of places last night. We had to stop before Lamlash, and looking at the route map, this is possibly one of the only places we could find, unless we were committed to going beyond the other side of Lamlash, which is another 4 miles away. Anyway, 7 miles to go until Brodick. Shouldn't be too long. We'll be dropping down onto the coastal path shortly, and then aiming to get the 1 o'clock ferry back to the mainland of Scotland. Coming up to the end of the Arran Coastal Way, we've got less than a mile left. It's Brodick over in the distance with the ferry terminal just over there. Liam, what did you think of the Arran Coastal Way?
Yeah, I think it was a nice little hike. I definitely recommend some of the route deviations we took, because we saw some interesting parts and it cut out a lot of the road walking, which is definitely the least favourite bit. Personal highlights for me would be the mountainous sections we did in the first couple of days, and the caves as well, which are really cool and quite unique.
Echoing what Liam has said, my favourite part has also been the northern half of the island, where the terrain is more rugged and more mountainous, and yeah, just really enjoyed going through the valleys in the first few days. Didn't enjoy the south end of the island as much, even though the walk was more challenging than expected. Didn't really like a lot of the road walking, but there were some interesting bits, such as going off to explore the caves and the seal watching. Equipment wise, really glad that my IKEA bag has held up pretty much. There was a few bits I had to resew, especially along the hip belt pocket, but none of the major seams had any faults with them. So yeah, and the 3F Lamlash has again performed pretty well in the wind, barring a bit of condensation. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.